What's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, this past weekend's Shirou Classic France. We got to see Nathan Asha dominate again at this show, his second pro victory this season, and his 11th pro victory overall, winning the Shirou Classic France, beating Theo Laguerrier, who looked phenomenal here, taking second place. I think that was a really strong placing for Theo, and he's actually from France, which I thought was pretty cool. Not a win for Theo, but I think a victory for him to win in his home country like that, a second-place finish. In third place, you had Tim Budashim. In fourth place, you had Roman Fritz. And in fifth place, you had Al Shiriak. Now, overall, I don't think there was much controversy with this show at all compared to the last time that we saw Nathan on stage, him versus Regan. That was a controversial result. I think this was a clear win for Nathan. I think he looked great here. I still think my favorite look of his of the three shows was the first of them at the Europa show in Spain. But he still looked good here. I also think the lighting here wasn't the greatest based on the video that I've seen. The lighting at the previous two shows I thought was much better. The lighting here was just kind of weird and wasn't really doing anybody's physique any favors. But definitely a deserved victory for Nathan. He looked really good. And again, I hope to see him on that Olympia stage. And I say I hope to see him there because last time around in 2022, he was qualified. He said he was going to compete, and he didn't compete for whatever reason. Now, I wanted to specify this because I saw an interview from a French bodybuilding reporter named Most Muscular. That's the name of his channel. And he interviewed Nathan after the win in France. And he asked Nathan if he was going to be at the Olympia. Nathan says, yes, that's his plan. And then he says that YouTubers are just talking shit, saying he's not going to be there.
For Olympia.
Yeah, you're getting there this year?
I can get there, but I let people on YouTube just talk shit. Why I need to tell people my life? You know, I don't need to tell them. So let them come here, talk shit, say I can't go. But I will see them there, so no problem.
I can wait to see you there then, brother.
Thank you,
yeah, congratulations.
And I think that was partially directed at me, since I've alluded to the fact that I'm cautiously optimistic that he'll be there, and I have a feeling that he might not. And that's not me talking shit, and that's not me hating. I'm a huge fan of Nathan's physique. I'm very impressed with the number of wins that he's had. I'm impressed with some of the shows that he's won. But the fact is, I mean, he was qualified for last year's Olympia. He said he was going to do it, and at the last minute, he didn't. And the reason why I think myself and others are skeptical is because he did have some big legal issues in the UK. We don't have to go into them. But ever since then, he hasn't been back to the Olympia despite being qualified, and he hasn't been back to compete in the United States since then. And you notice he's done a lot of shows, but every show he's done was one that didn't require a U.S. visa. So when I say I hope that he's at the Olympia, I'm not implying that I don't want him to be there or that I think he doesn't want to go. I'm saying that because up until this point, it looks like he might not be allowed to travel to the U.S. because of those issues. Now, he says that's not true, and he says he's going to be at the Olympia, so I hope that is the case. But he did say that last year before the 2022 Olympia, and he wasn't. So that's why I continue to say if he's there, because we just haven't seen him back in the States since then. But I want to see him there, and I honestly think he'll be a top 10 guy if he's at the Olympia. That's why I want to see him compete, because I do think he has one of the best physiques in the world. He's a phenomenal bodybuilder. And even at the Italy show, I mean, I would say I'm closer to Regan, certainly, than Nathan. I'm friendlier with Regan, and he's friendlier to me, but I still said I thought Nathan beat him there. So I just wanted to clarify that. I have nothing against Nathan. I want to see him at the Olympia. I'm not talking shit. I just think that there's a possibility he might not be there based on the past couple years. But again, congratulations to Nathan. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think we will actually see him at the Olympia this year? And if we do, where do you think he'll place? I think he'll be top 10 if we see him there. I honestly don't know if there's another bodybuilder in that lineup right now that has won more than 11 IFBB Pro shows besides Nathan. 11 pro wins is a very significant number. Now, next up in the news, just out today, the competitor list for the 2023 Legion Sports Festival. This will be the last opportunity to qualify for the Olympia. This will be held here in the States, and the lineup did not disappoint. You've got a pretty significant lineup here, and I think that's the reason for it. It's the last chance to get to the Olympia for a lot of these guys. Let's go through this lineup here for Legion, and we'll talk a little bit about the classic physique lineup as well. So you've got Vitor Boff, the Brazilian bodybuilder, Mohamed El Imam, Stephen Frazier, Charles Griffin, who I've got to say is looking fantastic in the updates that we've seen from him so far, Dorian Haywood, who we haven't seen in a little while. He usually does a lot of the shows throughout the season in the circuit here in the States, but I can't remember the last one he did. He usually does a bunch back to back to back, so it'll be good to see him there. Martin Hernandez, Kenneth Jackson, John Jewett is doing open bodybuilding here. Chad Merchant, Darius Milton, Manolakis Nikitas Sortrius, Jose Placencia, Dennis Reinhold, Johan Rico Rivas, Logan Robson, Justin Rodriguez will be making his return here after a little bit of a break, a little bit of a hiatus. We'll see how he looks here. Steve Thayer, Joel Thomas, Jan Turek, and Eric Wood. So naturally, the guys that are really standing out to me, Charles Griffin, Vitor Boff, and Justin Rodriguez. Now, Vitor Boff did just compete in France, and he took 7th, but none of the guys that we just saw compete in France that beat him will be here. So that should be interesting. He's a great bodybuilder from Brazil. Charles Griffin, like I said, looking fantastic. This most recent update, him with a vacuum pose. He's one of the guys in open that I think looks better with a vacuum pose, really improved his physique, and I think training that vacuum pose, aside from just hitting the vacuum pose on stage, I think has really improved his ability to control his midsection in the other poses on stage. And Charles Griffin, his conditioning's been looking great. He looks really on track. He's a guy that I think is going to do some very serious damage here. And honestly, based on this lineup, Charles is my favorite to win this show. He's going to be my prediction to win. These updates have been great. I think he's a guy that belongs on that Olympia stage. He's a real bodybuilder's bodybuilder, and I mean that every time I see him post something, he's practicing his posing, he's training hard, his conditioning looks insane. You can tell he really suffers and pushes to improve. And I remember the first time I saw Charles in person, it was at the 2018 Indy Pro, and he was second to Steve Kuklo there. And he looked phenomenal even back then, but I look at the progress that he's made with his legs, with his midsection, just overall since 2018, and he's really made a pretty significant amount of progress, and his physique just beautiful. And actually, Justin Rodriguez was in that same Indy Pro lineup. I believe he was 5th place there, behind Ian Valliere and Luke Sando. So, again, based on this list, Charles Griffin, my pick to win. Let me know your pick to win in the comments down below. Now, classic physique at this Legion Sports Festival. I'm excited for this because we're going to get to see Logan Franklin back on stage. And this will be Logan's attempt to try to get into the Olympia this year. This will be, I think, a really good show for him. Kyron Holden's in this lineup. We'll go through the whole list here, but Logan Franklin, Kekoa Godfrey, Jacob Graham, Kyron Holden, Grego Larson, Michael Lopez, Gerark Turbillo Perez, Terrence Ruffin, Lucas DeSanti, Scott Sharan, Bryant Smith, Wilfredo Victoria, and Kellen Wilson. So, obviously, the big name in here is Terrence Ruffin. We just saw him win the Dubai Pro. He's a multiple-time Classic Physique Olympia runner-up. Logan Franklin, looking to make kind of a comeback here, get back to the Olympia stage after not being able to compete last year. I believe it was like an unspecified illness that kept him out. It was a health issue. So I like that he didn't pick an easy show. Obviously, it's not an easy task to beat Terrence Ruffin. So if Logan were to win this show to get to the Olympia, he would have to beat Terrence to get there, and that would be significant. But I expect to see him and Terrence as the top two here. And we did get a recent update from Logan Franklin. I believe this was yesterday. He posted this physique update in his garage on Facebook. And it's a little zoomed out. It's a little hard to tell. It's a little grainy, but I think he looks pretty good here. We obviously know how Terrence is looking. We just saw him compete in Dubai. I think he's going to be very difficult to beat here, but I am curious to see this comparison because I was entertained to see Ruff Diesel versus Wesley Vissers. Two very different physiques. Wesley is a taller guy. You've got a kind of a similar situation with Terrence versus Logan, and I like those kind of comparisons because it reminds me of Terrence versus Chris. Chris is a taller, bigger guy in Classic, just like Wesley, just like Logan, and I would like to see them as the top two here. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think Logan has a chance at beating Terrence here? Yes or no? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments below. And I want to add this in too because apparently there's been a brand new pro show added. This will be the new last qualifying opportunity technically for the Olympia. This will be this weekend also, in addition to the Legion Sports Festival. And it's going to be right after. It's going to be on Sunday. And this is going to be again in Italy. So at this show, you got Simone Bossinelli, Roberto Bonomo, Pavel Cervinka, Vlad Chiriak again, Roman Fritz again, Mark Joyce, Theo Laguerrier again, Gianluca De Lorenzo, Mikhail Maslov, Dario Palazzi, Leandro Perez, Antonio Valero Tunenberg. So this will be the true last opportunity for men's open bodybuilding to compete. This show was apparently just added to the IFBB schedule, the second show this year in Italy, which is probably why a lot of these guys that you just saw compete at the Shiro Classic France are not doing Legion, because they can compete in Italy and still try to get an Olympia qualification, and it's much, much closer than traveling to the States to compete the Legion Sports Festival. So 2 pro shows this weekend. A lot to look forward to. Let me know your predictions for this show in the comments below. Now, speaking of classic physique updates, we got a physique update from Chris Bumstead yesterday at 5 weeks out. The first in-color physique update from Chris. He had been posting some black and white updates. And I think the takeaway that pretty much everybody has from this is he looks pretty big here. He looks really full, really muscular, really big for a classic guy. Obviously, it is a most muscular shot, so that's what that shot is intended to show off. But he looks big. And I think he is going to have some pretty stiff competition. I think, like I said, Ramon and Urs, they've been improving rapidly. You've got Terrence Ruffin coming back on the scene with this advantage of the weight increase. He just won the Dubai Pro. He's likely going to win Legion, I think, and go into the Olympia with 2 back-to-back victories for the qualification. I think Chris is going to have his hands full this year. And like I said, even the guys in Chris's height range, they get a slight weight increase too. And so I'd expect to see a bigger version of Chris on stage, because all the other guys are going to be bigger. He's going to have to compete with bigger competition. I think you might see a bigger, fuller, more muscular Chris on that classic physique stage this year, and that might be the look that he's going for to try to fend these guys off. And I think it will certainly be a very interesting Olympia across the board, across all divisions. But classic physique, I think, is going to be highly competitive, and we're only 4 weeks away now. I think that's pretty crazy to think about. Now, the final story that I've got for you guys today, the latest physique update from none other than Michael Krizo. This was posted at 5 weeks out. Michael Krizo is a guy that I think is actually going to be a pretty considerable threat this year. He was 12th place last year at the Olympia, an Olympia that he wasn't even initially planning on doing. 12th place out of over 30 competitors at that Olympia. So I thought that was still a pretty good placing for him, even despite all the hype that he got throughout the year. I think this year he's going to make a serious statement. I think he'll be better. I think his conditioning will be improved. We know that he's bringing his strong points here, which you can see in this video. Very muscular, great arms, round, full, 3D, just in-your-face muscularity. And I think that's what people enjoy seeing on the Olympia stage, is a freak like Michael Krizo. But a freak that brings conditioning, I think, is going to be a very dangerous one. And I think that's what we're going to see from Krizo this year. A better package than last year, more conditioned package than last year, but the same freaky, full, vascular 3D look that he brings. I think we see him crack the top 10 this year. I really do. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. That's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I want to thank MUSCLETECH for sponsoring today's video and sponsoring the channel in general for the rest of this year. Make sure if you buy any of their products, use my link and my code in the description box below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.